Not every journey is about hitting the big landmarks or famous destinations. Sometimes the best trips are on these quiet, remote paths, the ones with forgotten history hiding just under your feet. Today, we're going to follow a cyclist named R. Hawk as he takes a ride straight into the past on Florida's Palatka-Lake Butler State Trail. And this right here is where it all starts. This isn't a path to a shiny coast or some big city. No, this one cuts deep into a totally different side of Florida. Just like the quote says, it goes inland, right into the state's backbone, a place that's a little more raw, a little more real, and, well, often overlooked. So let's talk about our rider, our Hawk. He's setting out on a trail that he knows is different. See, he's not just looking for a quick, scenic loop around a park. He's after something longer, more remote, a path that really feels like it has a story to tell. To really get what this trail is all about, you gotta look at what it's not, right? Most bike paths, they connect busy cities or take you to a popular beach. They're packed, they're famous. But this trail, it deliberately avoids all of that. It leads away from everything you know and takes you into this quiet history that you're not gonna see on a billboard. And that's the whole point. So, as Hawk is riding, he starts to uncover the trail's secret. That smooth path under his tires, it's not just asphalt. It's actually built right on top of a ghost railway, a real functioning line that was once this vital artery for the whole region. He quickly realizes he isn't just cycling, he's literally riding on a line of history. So this ghost railway, it was officially the Georgia Southern and Florida line. And back in the day, it was the absolute lifeblood for this part of the state. I mean, it sliced right through the wilderness, hauling out pine, turpentine, and crops, and connecting all these small, hardworking towns to the rest of the country. But the railway's job went way beyond just hauling logs and turpentine. It carried people, connecting families and workers. It brought in the mail and the news, bringing the outside world to these pretty isolated places. Every single train that chugged along was like a rolling piece of the community's own story. Okay, so the ride begins. As Hawk pulls away from the town of Palatka, he just falls into a rhythm. The landscape is thick with these beautiful longleaf pines, and the sun is just filtering through the canopy. There are no crowds, no city noise, nothing. Just the quiet hum of his tires on that old rail line. This really captures the whole feel of the journey, doesn't it? Pedal, breathe, roll. It's almost like a meditation. It's not a race. The goal is just to be there, in that moment, feeling that long, straight path unwind, and just letting the history of the place kind of sink in with every rotation of the pedals. And this is where things shift. The ride stops being just a physical thing and becomes, well, something more. As he's riding, he's not just seeing trees anymore. He's seeing the ghosts of the past. He starts picturing the incredible, backbreaking effort it must have taken to carve this perfectly straight line through the wild, unforgiving Florida landscape. Now, as he rides deeper into the forest, into the quiet, that line between the present and the past, it starts to get a little blurry. This is really the heart of the ride, where the forgotten voices of those railway workers in turpentine camps almost seem to echo through the pines. And, it's really important we don't romanticize what life was like back then. Building this railway, working in those turpentine camps, this was brutal, back-breaking labor under a punishing sun. These were incredibly hard lives to find by just immense physical struggle for very, very little pay. And these were the lives of people who just don't end up in the history books. They were laborers, homesteaders, families living in tiny little camps and towns that just popped up along the railway line. Their quiet lives went completely unrecorded, but they were lived right here on this exact ground. But here's the thing. Even though their names are long forgotten, what they built endures. They left their mark. And that mark is the trail itself, the straight, determined line they cut through the wilderness. Hawk is literally riding through the physical proof of their forgotten work. And that brings us to this really crucial moment. Out there, deep in the middle of Bradford County, Hawk just stops his bike. The quiet hum of the tires goes away. So what's left? What happens when you finally stop and everything goes completely and utterly silent? In that deep, deep silence, there are no cars, no voices. There's only the wind whispering through the trees. And in that quiet, your imagination just takes over. You can almost hear it, can't you? The distant whistle, the rumble of wheels on the track, the faint ghost of a train. So after hours and hours of riding, Hawk finally gets close to his destination, a town called Lake Butler. But as he coasts to a stop, it hits him. The town itself, it isn't the point. The real meaning of the ride, the true destination, wasn't at the end of the trail at all. It was in the space in between. It was in all those miles he just traveled. And this is the core takeaway of the whole thing. So often, we're just focused on getting somewhere, right? On reaching the goal. But as Hawk realized, yeah, some rides are about the destination, but this one wasn't. The end of the line was just an excuse to experience everything that came before it. The real prize was in the space in between. It was in all those quiet, forgotten miles where history isn't shouting at you from a museum display. Instead, it just waits. It waits patiently in the landscape for somebody to come along, to ride through and just remember. And when you think about it, this ghost railway isn't just in Florida. These quiet histories, these spaces in between, they're everywhere. They're hidden in old roads, overgrown paths, forgotten corners of our own towns. Which really just leaves us with one question. What quiet histories are out there waiting for you?